Good evening. I'm going to call the Old Bridge Board of Education to order. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Board Office, the schools, and on cable vision Channel 118 and Verizon Lios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, November 26, 2013. The Board will take formal action on the payment of bills on Tuesday, November 26, 2013. No, it's not right.
And on action items.
And on action items as listed.
Okay. The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that the act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call, Mr. Bear.
Andriani,
Present.
Borsili, Callahan,
Present.
Colabella, DePrima,
Here.
D'Onofrio, Sulikowski,
Here.
Weber, Dunn.
Here.
Quorum exists, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a motion to accept the addendum?
Andriani will move that.
Thank you, Mrs.
Callahan,
Andriani.
second.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Weber, Dunn.
Yes.
The motion to accept the addendum passes. Mr. President, there are also some administrative changes that I'd like to point out. And there are copies of the administrative changes that have been distributed to the public. The first item is on page 12. Motion number 17, after $41,763, the words prorated should be inserted. And on page 20, item number 4 is being administratively removed. And I'd just like to point out to all the board members that anything that is in yellow or highlighted was not on the meeting agenda last week. So we have not had any discussions about those items. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Moving forward, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion, please?
The motion, D'Onofrio make a motion, Mr. President.
May I have a second?
Andriani will second.
Thank you. Any discussion or concerns with the minutes? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Colabella, I'm sorry, DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio, Sulikowski,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Moving on to recognition. Mr. Sedadino?
Move the board to recognize Ms. Michelle Teeter, Secretary at Jonas Salk Middle School, and Mr. Michael Curtis, Teacher of Mathematics at Jonas Salk Middle School, for their efforts in raising funds to donate towards the fight against breast cancer. I know that Mr. Curtis is here this evening. If he would like to step up to the podium and say a few words in recognition. Mr. Lynch will join him. Thank you.
Good evening. I stand here before you to proudly honor Ms. Michelle Teeter, Secretary at Jonas Salk Middle School, and Mr. Michael Curtis, Teacher of Mathematics at Jonas Salk Middle School, for their assiduous efforts in raising funds for breast cancer awareness. As team captains, they both put in countless hours into raising funds or orchestrating events for the cause. Ms. Teeter disseminated empty water bottles to each of the homerooms for students to fill with dimes for a school-wide event, with the top 3 fundraising classrooms to receive rewards. Ms. Teeter also coordinates a concession stand at the annual Salk-Sandburg Boys and Girls Soccer Games by collecting donations of snacks and water to sell at the games. This past year proved even to be more challenging, as there were 2 venues, with the games being played at 2 different locations. Mr. Curtis helped organize a team from Jonas Salk Middle School to walk in the annual American Cancer Society Making Strides walk in Point Pleasant. Approximately 20,000 people took part in the 2013 event, helping to raise more than $1.3 million. Both Mr. Curtis and Ms. Teeter are not ones who particularly like to be in the spotlight. However, I felt compelled to recognize them for all their hard work behind the scenes and being the driving forces for the fundraising efforts. This year's fundraiser was the most successful to date, raising more than $4,011, and as a result, the Salk team received the Pacesetter Award for raising over $2,500 and placing them 45th out of 788 teams. In the past 3 years, they have ran the fundraiser and walked. They have raised a total of $9,338.41. Saving lives from breast cancer starts one team, one walker, and $1 at a time. Every little bit makes a difference. The donations their team raises help to enable investment in groundbreaking breast cancer research, as well as provide free information and services for women diagnosed with the disease. The donations will help more than 2.9 million breast cancer survivors celebrate another birthday this year. I applaud Ms. Teeter and Mr. Curtis for their efforts and for spearheading the fundraiser. I am proud that because of their tireless efforts and dedicated commitment to this great cause, we are working towards being one step closer to finding a cure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Please pass along our recognition to Ms. Teeter.
May I have a motion to approve the recognition award this evening?
Callahan will make the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. DePrima. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Callahan?
Yes, and congratulations on such a great job.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes, and congratulations.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Moving forward, we're going to go to report of student representative to the board. It's all yours, Christopher.
Good evening. Right now, the Oberge High School is working on Project Philippines, which is a student-run philanthropy attempt to benefit the Philippines after they were recently hit with the typhoon. Project Philippines is an idea that 3 seniors brought to administration, and it follows an old Chinese folktale of 1,000 cranes. And it goes that 1,000 cranes, or whoever makes 1,000 cranes, will have one granted wish or eternal happiness. So Old Bridge High School, being the giving people that we are, we decided to live by this and make 3,495 cranes that we've all been staying after to make. And these cranes are made out of paper. Students tomorrow, before the pep rallies, will purchase these cranes, donate $1, and they will sign the wing of the crane, and the crane will get hung up in the main foyer of the high school for everyone to see. All this money and all the proceeds will go to the American Red Cross and relief efforts in the Philippines. Also, the Red Cross Club within the school is working on the penny wars. Each grade, during lunch periods, has designated jars where they're filling them with pennies and loose change and bills. And the grade that reaches the most is going to have a breakfast before the half day, before the Christmas, the holidays in December. And all that proceeds is going to go to the Philippines, Still Sandy victims in New Jersey, and the Colorado victims. Today we stayed after school on Project Philippines to make the cranes, and the Suburban was there, photographing everyone, excuse me. The Powder Puff game, where the girls play football and the boys cheerlead, is moved to December 10th at Lombardi Field. Our No Shave November fundraiser is in effect. The Peer Leadership Program just completed Operation Christmas Child, where we filled over 230 shoe boxes with gifts for third world countries. Toys for Tots is going right now between the students and the staff. Period 2 Peer is running a Supplies for Soldiers drive. An Old Bridge resident whose son is right now fighting in Afghanistan brought this idea to us to send supplies to her son and his troop, because she says that they don't have enough supplies, food, and necessities such as like toothpaste, toothbrushes. So what we're doing is we're putting together baskets that's going to be shipped over to him and his troop. Adopt a Family is going right now, families in need in Old Bridge, to help out with the holidays. And tomorrow is our Thanksgiving pep rally to get ready for the Battle of Route 18, the Old Bridge versus East Brunswick football game on Thanksgiving. And to wrap everything up, we just completed our food drive. Between the Student Senate and the Rotary Interact Club, we raised 1,700 cans, and the ROTC program brought in 2,900 cans. So it was pretty successful, and it was one of the most successful yet. So that's pretty much what's going on.
Very well, great job. It's a very exciting time in Old Bridge. Thank you. All right, moving forward, we'll go into the superintendent's report. Mr. Cittadino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Board. Since the passing of Public Law 2010, better known as the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, in January of 2011, it is required by the superintendent of schools to twice yearly release information about the progress the district has made towards the bullying law, its progress towards the Week of Respect, which is the first Monday in October that week, and the Violence and Vandalism report. So while this might not be our most entertaining report that I have to read to you, please bear with me. This does include some important facts and numbers that we must get through, and provide you some insight into where the district is going. Part of the requirement is also to let you know about who investigates the bullying incidents as they're brought forward, and at each school, thankfully, because of this Board of Education, we have guidance counselors at all of our 12 elementary schools, and a substance awareness coordinator at the 2 middle schools, and 3 substance awareness coordinators at our grade 9 center and 2 at the high school. So I'm going to have to go through their names to announce who they are. At the elementary schools, it's Kirsten Svinson at Carpenter School, Angela Ziemba at Cheesequay School, Kim Saltner at Cooper School, Rebecca Nardsky at Grissom School, Janine Zieber at Madison Park, Phyllis Bloom at McDivitt, Amy Nargian at Memorial, Sean Belensky at Miller, Kristen Todd, Shira, Jean Zakowski, Shepherd, Carrie Ann Silvestri, Southwood School, and Faye Boydenstein at Voorhees School. At Jonas Salk School, it's Rose Bornstein Bedoya, Lauren Persica at Carl Sandburg School, Renee Friel at the Ellen McDermott Grade 9 Center, Rhonda Vanderhoff at the Old Bridge High School, Maine, and Robert Waite at the Old Bridge High School, Maine. Our district anti-bullying coordinator is Christopher McHugh. He oversees the investigation process and the professional development that takes place for our school safety teams and our staff. The reporting period that's required is the 6 months prior to. So tonight I'll be reporting to you on the January 1st to June 30th time period of this previous school year. During that time, there were 99 reported investigations for HIB, and 16 of them were affirmed by the anti-bullying process. There were 19 investigations at the high school, 5 were affirmed. At Shepherd School, there were 6 investigations, 1 was affirmed. At Carl Sandburg School, 22 investigations, 0 affirmed. At Cheesequake, 3 investigations, 3 affirmed. At McDivitt, 2 investigations, 0 affirmed. Jonas Salk, 10 investigations, 3 affirmed. Cooper School, 9 investigations, 2 affirmed. Madison Park School, 3 investigations, 0 affirmed. Memorial School, 7 investigations, 1 affirmed. At Carpenter School, 0 investigations, 0 affirmed. At Voorhees School, 5 investigations, 1 affirmed. At Southwood School, 3 investigations, 0 affirmed. Grissom School, 6 investigations, 0 affirmed. Shiraz School, 3 investigations, 0 affirmed. Miller School, 1 investigation, 0 affirmed. The law also requires to speak to the nature of the HIB incidents, the effect of the incidents, and the discipline. Of the 16 affirmed cases, all 10 of them met the 10-day investigation requirement. The nature of the HIB incidents, this is district-wide. 3 were based upon race, 2 based upon color, 0 on religion, 3 on ancestry, 2 on gender, 1 on sexual orientation, 1 on mental, physical, or sensory disability, and 9 on other distinguishing characteristics. The effects of the HIB incidences that were affirmed: 1 was substantially to disrupt or interfere with the orderly operations of a school. 4, where the offender knew the action would physically and emotionally cause harm or to the victims or damage the victim's property. 7, in which the victim was in fear of physical, emotional harm or damage from the personal property. 10, was meant to insult or demean a group or a student individually. 3, to interfere with the victim's education. And 2, to create a hostile school environment. Of these investigations that were affirmed, 1 was a gesture, 13 were verbal, 4 were physical, and 1 was an electronic communication. The disciplinary action that was taken: 9 had suspension of privileges, 5 had detention, 2 were out-of-school suspensions, 8 in-school suspensions, and 10 received other, which can include counseling. Offender remediation: 15 offenders received individual counseling, 1 for out-of-school therapy, and 4 for group counseling. 11 received individual student conferencing, 1 was referred to the IRS process, 8 had to have parent conferences, and 7 were subject to other measures. Victim remediation: victims, 12 of them were counseled, 5 received support services, 3 had parent conferences in school, 1 had peer support, 1 had adult student mentor assigned, and 1 had accommodations made in the classroom. As part of the Week of Respect and the Violence Awareness Week, which both take place in October, the schools have to submit a report as to what they've done to combat bullying in their schools. This is a very long report, and thankfully I've taken the 2 highlights from every school to share with you. But all of the schools, the staff, the administration there, and the students worked very hard to recognize the dangers of bullying within the schools. At Carpenter School, they had Operation Beautiful, where students in grades 3 to 5 wrote positive comments and quotes on Post-its and posted them around the school. Students were also shared with the poem, Sunny Sunflower poem, make a sunflower and write on the petals something special about someone else in the class. At Cheesequake School, the kindergarten students read Charlie the Caterpillar and were introduced to the concept of liking people for who they are on the inside and as important as their friendship, and although we are different, we are all beautiful. 5th graders at Cheesequake School read Confessions of a Former Bully by Trudy Ludwig, and they were able to discuss the appropriate ways to solve problems and conflicts. At Cooper School, the kindergarten students read Chrysanthemum and discussed how important it is to treat others fairly. In the 5th grade, they read My Secret Bully with their guidance counselor and discussed different ways and types of bullies and bullying. And they tried to find an answer to, why are we mean to each other? At Grissom School, 4th graders read Just Kidding by Judy Trudwig, and kindergarten students read Why I Feel Angry by Cornelia Maud Spellman, and they had discussions in book talk. At Madison Park School, kindergarten students read Hands Are for Helping, Not Hurting, and students were able to recognize that hands should be used for helping each other and not hurting each other. In the 5th grade, they read Bullying on the School Bus. Students learned about the dangers of bullying on a school bus and the potential consequences that can happen. At McDivitt School, kindergarten student read, or participated, I should say, in the Be a Duck workshop. To be a bully or to be bullied. It was a role-playing activity for the students. 2nd grade students took part in Read and Stop Picking on Me. In a sharing circle, they talked about what to do if someone was bothering them and a safe way to seek help. At Memorial School, kindergarten students watched a PowerPoint called When I'm Angry. And they discussed conflicts they have with each other and how to solve them through the lessons of the bunny in the book. In the 3rd grade, they watched Kelso's Choice, a video for 3rd and 5th graders, and they discussed how to stop bullying scenarios. At Miller School, kindergarten students read the book One by Kathy Otoshi and answered questions in the book about what to do for standing up for each other when someone's being bullied. In the 2nd grade, they read the book I Didn't Know I Was a Bully by Melissa Richards, and they held a class discussion. At Shepherd School, kindergarten students drew a picture. This is not something I can do to calm down when I'm really angry, they learned. And in the 3rd grade, they worked on prejudice reduction with, in the 5th grade, they worked on prejudice reduction with the renowned project Number the Stars, which will soon be featured on NJ Classroom Close-Up, on the NJEA Classroom Close-Up. At Shiraz School, 2nd graders read The Recess Queen by Alexis O'Neill to encourage a discussion about bullying behavior, when appropriate, nonviolent ways of dealing with it. And in grade 4, students created a class web about bullying. At Southwood Schools, kindergarten students read the story Hands Are Not for Hitting, and they worked on great ways to solve conflict without becoming physical. At Voorhees School, 2nd grade students took part in a book talk called Say Something by Peggy Moss. And in the 3rd grade, they read The Juice Box Bully by Bob Sorensen and Molly Diamond. And the class talked about the promise that each student made in the story. At Carl Sandburg School, during health classes, a discussion was planned on how to avoid violence and learning various ways to deal with conflict, violence, harassment, vandalism, and bullying. I know several of us had the opportunity to see the SLC, or the Student Leadership Council students, perform an assembly that went on all day at Carl Sandburg School, and it was quite impressive in a variety of shows and lessons and songs about anti-bullying. At Jonas Salk School, the students did partake in an article called The Utah Football Coach Who Suspended His Whole Team. And they learned about reasons why lack of respect for teachers, classmates, and themselves got one team in serious trouble. The community of caring decorated the entire building with orange ribbons. At Old Bridge High School, stop signs with statistics about bullying were displayed throughout the school, and Stop the Violence posters containing violence awareness statistics and developed by the graphic arts teachers were displayed on both campuses. The last information that I have to share with you, and I did email this to the TV studio. I'm not sure if they have it available to put on the for the TV viewers, but is the most recent information about violence and vandalism within our schools. The 2012-13 statistics are situations of violence, 39, vandalism, 18 incidences, 3 weapons incidences, 48 substance abuse instances, and for a total of 108. Last year, there was 180. The year previous to that, a total of 157, and the year before that, 142. So as a district, we've had a steep decline in violence, vandalism, and abuse. So it's something to be proud of. Again, this report has to be done twice a year. I thank you for your patience as we reviewed it, but the information is important as it shows us what direction we're going, and what I see is a positive direction. Thank you for all the staff, the administration, the students, and the families that have made this progress possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Any questions or concerns with Mr. Cittadino's report?
Can I ask a question not on the report, just addressed to you?
As long as I can answer it, you may ask.
I was just wondering if there's any feedback or data on the iPad rollout and full-day K. We did them, and we haven't really heard anything since.
Well, we can add that towards our progress towards goals in the either December or January. I did send out through the Roseanne Moran's office. We had all the principals take part in a survey about the iPad initiative, where they're at, what they need, and where we're going from here. And the results were very positive, so I could present the information from that survey when we do that progress towards goals. Your other question was full-day kindergarten? I think at this point, we have you secure the architect of record going forth to the state to get the proper allowances so that we can have that. And we're waiting for that to get back to us.
I actually meant, how's it going? Are we getting good feedback on it, the pilots?
State doesn't provide feedback during the progress. They'll just notify us that it's been preliminary approved to allow us to go to the next steps.
I mean, how's the pilot going? I'm sorry. Like, are we
Oh,
getting,
sorry.
how are the children enjoying it, or the parents, you know, is it
You
working?
know what I'd like to do is I'd like to turn over the pilot, if she's willing to assist us here, to Donna Kibler, who has been really working with that pilot a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. I can tell you that the pilot is going beautifully. I met with the kindergarten teachers on November the 13th, and we had a wonderful, wonderful dialogue. Mrs. Latano and Mr. Ticchio shared their experience with the regular education teachers as well as the special education kindergarten teachers. And everyone had a great discussion. They shared ideas, and we had a very full agenda that day. And during the meeting, I did distribute sheets for them to complete for inventories of materials that they have in their classroom and materials that they will be needing. So it's moving along, and I will be visiting Chesapeake School tomorrow. Mrs. Latano's kindergarten class will be putting on a Thanksgiving program at 11 o'clock. So all our kindergartens are doing well. I've observed 2 of them within the last 2 weeks. And we just have a dynamic group of kindergarten teachers that truly like children, enjoy being with young children, and provide experiences that are engaging and motivating. And the kids are so very, very responsive. So it's moving along, Mr. DePrima. And, you know, we're just waiting for the State Department so we can go full speed ahead. You're welcome.
I did include from the contribution from Ms. Kibler an article in the your last board meeting, your last board package that went home on Friday about the state's progress towards implementing full-day kindergarten as a mandate. And that went home on last Friday's packet.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Mr. Cittadino will be giving us a complete update on the iPads come in December, and that will be part of the progress towards goals. Mr. Mara.
I just want to, you know, my concern about doing it in December, I can have that information ready December, but I know we do have a concert as part of this, as part of the program in December. So I don't want to cut back on what the students are performing, nor do I want to make an overly long meeting on what is a very festive occasion. So the board can get back to me on if you want to do December or January.
You have it on the agenda?
We can do it during the progress.
You can do it during the agenda session,
Yes.
either.
That's
Whichever
fine.
direction the board wants to go, I can provide.
I think we'll do it during the agenda session. I think that the board may want to get a little bit more intimate with the questioning and more details, so we'll do it at the agenda session. Fair enough. So we'll do it during the agenda session.
My opinion on that is that it might be better information for the public if it was at a regular session that's televised. I think a lot more people might get something out of it.
Discuss it as a group and then send it to me. I know that some of the board members have asked the same question, Mr. DePrima, and they're anxious to get a comprehensive update. So if the entire board agrees to wait until January, then I have no problem with that. I know that a few others had some concerns. So if the board is in agreement, we could have it in January if everyone's okay with that. Any comments or concerns? Is January fine with the board?
I think given the amount of money that was put into the program, that it should be done at a televised meeting because the public should really be fully aware of where we stand in the process.
So are you saying, Mr. Weber, that you would prefer January then?
That's what it takes to get it on TV. January's fine.
Rest of the board okay with that? Very well. So it will be January's business meeting, which will have the progress towards goals regarding the iPad implementation. Terrific. Moving forward, Mr. Mara, any correspondence?
Yeah, we have two letters of correspondence. One is from Mr. Jack Phillips, interim principal at the Madison Park School. It's addressed to Mr. Cittadino. I would like to thank you and the board and the Old Bridge Township Board of Education for the opportunity to fill in as principal at Madison Park School during the start of the 2013-14 school year. Madison Park is a wonderful school with students and parents that are friendly and supportive. The staff is cooperative, energetic, enthusiastic, and extremely dedicated. I cannot say enough nice things about their professional team approach to providing each and every child with a solid start to the school year. Best wishes for a successful 2013-2014 school year. Sincerely, Jack Phillips, interim principal. Secondly, we received a letter this past week from Dr. Joan George, and she asked to read it to the board. Dear board members, it was with some surprise and great deal of disappointment that I discovered that your agenda sessions would no longer be televised. It would seem that in a time when citizens are seeking greater transparency in government, that this unexplained retreat is ill-advised. If it is not possible to provide coverage at the high school library site, certainly a videotape could be made that could be replayed on the educational channel allotted for district use. It would also be helpful to have the agenda session for this meeting posted on your website in advance. It should not be a requirement, especially in these days of advanced technology, for concerned citizens to have to physically attend public meetings where discussions are held and actions taken by their elected representatives. Please reconsider your position on this matter and make arrangements to make a televised record of agenda meetings available to the public as soon as possible. Yours truly, Joan M. George, ED. Thank you.
Mr. Mara, can you please explain to the audience and our TV audience what the future will bring regarding Ms. George's question regarding information and postings of the videos online?
Well, the future is already here. All of the board meetings for the last 2 or 3 months are posted on the website. We just did the first trial run this past agenda meeting, and it's now up there. It takes anywhere from 2 to 3 days to get it up onto the website, but they are there and they will continue to be posted. And the more experience we get posting them, the faster it will happen. And ultimately, we expect that to be within 1 day. But until we work out some of the kinks in getting it up there, it should be 2 to 3 days after the board meeting. It's on the website in video form.
So that includes the regular monthly business meeting and also the agenda session, correct?
It's all meetings.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Mara. Before we go to the hearing of residents, I just want to congratulate 3 individuals who have become board member-elects for January. First, I want to congratulate Belinda Singh, Nancy Mongan, and also Annette Hotman. They will be taking their seats on this Board of Education come January. So congratulations, Nancy and everyone else who may be watching at home. Now opening special committee reports.
No, just me. All right. We had, on November 18th, we had a very long curriculum meeting. We did not have one in October because of the inclement weather. We talked about this at the agenda meeting last week. At that time, I had asked if the board would be willing to have a meeting of the whole to discuss some of the requests from the various departments. Ms. Kibler and her staff provided us with a folder and requests from just about every department across the board. To go through each of them at this point, I think is moot because we do have a commitment to the full-day kindergarten, and most of our financial resources may be going in that area anyway. So we can hold off on that lengthy discussion. We also talked at the agenda meeting that perhaps once we get closer towards a budget, we could discuss that through finance. There were a variety of requests from a few $100s into large thousands of dollars, anything from additional personnel and staffing to extra software to the addition of a third class for sequencing for Perkins grant funding, some title changes to be in compliance with the regulations for the middle school, middle college program that we had. But all in all, it was probably over $1 million worth of requests. So we will have to go through those as we find out what monies are available at that time. Ms. Kibler and, Mrs. Keeler and Dr. Toohey did come forward at the agenda meeting for 2 requests that were in a timely manner, and we discussed that again at the agenda meeting. One was about the software program. That was an additional expense not on the board's part, but just for parents to buy for an enhancement for the music program. And Dr. Toohey, as usual, was asking for supplementary personnel et al. For his programs. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Angiarani. Anyone else have a committee report? Very well. Now we'll open the floor to hearing of residents on agenda items only. Nancy, go ahead.
Under policy, I know it's only first reading, but I was going to request if the board attorney could explain the changes to the 2 policies that he drafted, one on the board officers and one on the memorials.
Absolutely. Mr. Parton will explain.
At the request of the policy committee and based upon some discussions by the board in public over the last, I would say, 18 months, actually, there are changes to the proposed changes to the bylaw regarding board officer election. What this goes to is, instead of the traditional everybody yell and the first yeller gets the vote, which is how it does work in the majority of school districts, this would be a multi-vote system whereby every nominee for a board officership is voted upon, and every member of the board may vote for every nominee. The result of that is, instead of somebody winning, for instance, 5-4 or 6-3 or 7-2, somebody could win 9-7-7. Everybody has the opportunity to vote on any candidate which they wish to support. If there is not a winner after that round of nominations and votes, then the top 2 vote getters have a runoff election, which is also a common mechanism in districts statewide, and everyone has only 1 vote at that point, so that there are 9 votes, and assumedly there's a winner at that point. The goal was to avoid it just being a yell out and to have the appearance that perhaps things were already decided before the vote takes action in front of the public.
So that if you're not yelling out, and every board member could nominate someone, for example, and then you would vote one at a time based on who nominated someone first, and then if that person got the majority, you would still go through a roll call on everyone else that was nominated. Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to understand.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
On the memorials policy, we had a discussion 2 months ago over in the auditorium. And it was the first time in a long time that a memorial, in that case to a couple of students who died tragically decades ago, had been discussed by the board. You did not, at that point, as a school district, have a memorials policy. What this proposed policy would do would be to allow families of school community members, whether that be an administrator, a board member, a staff member, or a student, to contact the administration, to work with the superintendent, and for the superintendent to make recommendations to the Board of Education to arrange an appropriate memorial in terms of scope, placement, based upon the length and the nature of the person's involvement in the school district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. Anyone else? Hearing of the residents on agenda items only? Thank you.
Good evening. Nicole Saladino, President of the OBEA. I wanted to speak on behalf of Agenda Item 17, which is under athletics. First, I would like to thank the administration and the TV personnel for uploading and making the meetings viewable. That is extremely helpful. As I viewed them this week, there's just one thing. Sometimes you can't hear what's being said. So if possibly, as I'm too close, maybe you should be closer. Second, I just wanted to recognize that the positions, the extracurricular and coaching positions that are not tenurable positions are now posted annually, as they should have been all along. However, the baseball position for head coach, the posting number 13216 was posted on May 30th of 2013, and it closed on June 12th of 2013. It states that the position becomes effective on March 7th. It was also posted with 3 other coaching positions that were effective on November 15th, not March 7th. Therefore, it seems that there was sufficient amount of time to complete the interview process. Mr. Superintendent, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there were 2 original candidates. There was 1 internal candidate and there was 1 outside candidate. The internal candidate holds a teaching certificate. The outside candidate does not. The interview committee convened, okay, and consisted of the athletic director, the building principal, and the athletic trainer. After the interviews, the athletic director, building principal, and athletic trainer conferred and recommended to the superintendent's office, okay, that the candidate they believe should be hired. The superintendent must have agreed, as he placed that candidate on the agenda for hire. However, the board did not approve. As you are probably not surprised, I have deep concern with the way that this position was handled. At the October 16, 2013 board meeting, only 1 board member asked council for clarification. Council stated that under the PERC Act, the superintendent has the duty to recommend the best qualified internal candidate, which he stated was listed as item B in October, and that the board has a duty to vote their conscience and carefully consider the superintendent's recommendation. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear. This Board of Education did not agree with the superintendent's recommendation for hire, nor the athletic director, nor the building principal, and nor the athletic trainer. Council also stated that the board's decision should not be arbitrary and/or capricious, meaning that the board should not act according to one's will or convey any notion or tendency to abuse the possession of power. On November 19th, when additional board members asked for legal clarification, council stated the PERC Act again, and that a qualified internal candidate gets first crack at the job. He also stated that you might get action as the first person was an internal candidate. Council finished with the statement, in this case, I would stress the board follow the PERC Act. The board president stated that a decision was made based on the outpouring of support of another candidate, a candidate that was not placed on the agenda for hire by the superintendent. Tonight's agenda shows a different candidate's name. However, this candidate was not the initial candidate. I recognize that the position was reposted, and again, both original applicants applied, and an additional applicant, internal, becoming a third candidate. The superintendent stated at the agenda meeting that the third candidate removed his name. I'm just a little confused. With the third largest one-site high school, we had a previous coach resign, a coach who participated in the GMC finals 2 years ago, and I repeat, only one internal candidate apply. It just doesn't make any sense. One would think that a district of this size would have an enormous amount of candidates. Members of the board, you can understand this whole situation doesn't look right to the association, and we will continue to address it through the appropriate venue. I want to leave you with one thought. I heard the bell there, is that Mr. Knowles was recommended not because of the PERK Act. He was recommended because he was the best qualified candidate. Thank you.
Please state your name.
I am the best I am Mr. Knowles, Thomas Knowles. Everyone knows me as Rocky Knowles. I have my family to blame for that. When I was a kid, they called me Rocky from day one. When I went to Madison Park Elementary School, I walked home and would not go back till they called me Rocky. It's the first time I heard my name is Tom. I'm not here to fight for a job. I'm not here to embarrass anybody. I would never do that to Mr. Cittadino, Mr. Sasso, or anybody else in Old Bridge. I've had newspapers call me, why haven't you gotten a job? I did not go to the newspapers. I always try to do the right thing. These are not glasses, they're magnifiers, as I tell my wife. I came here to tell you who I am, okay? And maybe a little bit about Mr. Cittadino. Mr. Cittadino, tremendous hire. He spent 15 minutes replacing the name placard, or I guess that's what you call it, on a young teacher's room. Who would do that? He spent a half an hour with me the other day just talking to me about various situations. Mr. Sasso, I would never do anything to embarrass him. He's what we needed, all right? And it's proof you can have fun and do well in school, and I would never do anything to embarrass him. I grew up, went to Madison Park Elementary School, played for Madison Park Little League. Jack Marr, who was instrumental in the naming of this town of Old Bridge. We won the Mayor's Trophy. One of those years, we actually beat Cedarwood South. I was the first varsity athlete in football to make All-County in football at Cedar Ridge. We won this, we were undefeated my senior year. I wore number 66. That's why I don't like the mayor, because he was a better player than me, and he had the same number as me. I came back to teach in 1979. I've always tried to do the right thing. I was a varsity assistant for 13 years. I coached baseball for about 18 years. I gave up the job because Fred Cole would have been cut out of a job when they merged the schools. I was being hired by the head coach, not Fred, and that would have been wrong. One reason, I did not stop coaching baseball at that time. I think I'm the Jim Friel of Tom's River, all right? I was assistant coach for the 10-year-old Little League State Championship team in Tom's River. Tom's River is the mecca of baseball. Junior League sectional finalist coach. Central Jersey Baseball League Championship coach. I've coached the fall teams at Tom's River South High School, and their head coach is the winningest coach in New Jersey history. Won the Berkeley Township Tournament. Won the Cheesquake Little League Championship when Gerard Horan asked me to bring a team up from Tom's River, and I called up 13 kids. I've had the pleasure to coach at a high level, even though I wasn't doing high school. I've coached recently, drafted and plays for the Blue Claws is Mark Leiter, 3 graduates of Rutgers University just this year. graduate of Susquehanna. I won the interview process. I don't understand why we're here in this situation. I never would want the job if I thought I was getting it because of the law. Forgive me, I wrote this at 5:30 as I was driving in the dark. As the basketball coach at Old Bridge High School for 19 years, I had over 200 wins, coach of the year in the GMC. But the one thing I did do is I ran a thing called Black and Purple Night. And that's 5 minutes? We raised over $10,000 through about the 5 times we ran it. We gave all that money to the Athletic Scholarship Fund, which went to the kids. One year we gave $1,000 to the families of Old Bridge when we had, I can't even remember, we had some problems in Old Bridge with some families. Everyone else said, you should just take that money, you should keep that money. No, you know, I wanted to spread it around. The last year we gave out over $2,000 of scholarships. I'll be at the AMGNC building tomorrow, probably one of the first people there. I usually get there around 6 a.m. I have more energy than anybody in the building. That's why I tell people I'm not retiring. Sometimes I get there at 6:15 because I have to read the signs on Matt's lawn. I just wanted the board to know who I am. I didn't put in for this job because I have to be the baseball coach. I put in for it because I wanted somebody not connected with the program to have the head position. And I think that's the fairest thing for all the kids in all 5 little leagues in Old Bridge. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. I'm going to close the hearing of the residents. In my haste, I passed over progress to goals, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cittadino.
I'm not sure it was in your haste or my haste, but we started talking about iPads in December and January, and everybody got so excited. We forgot about the progress towards goals for tonight. We do have Ms. Anna Kotis here from Old Bridge High School, and she's going to deliver progress towards our goals of expanding our world language and arts department, and specifically speaking about the recent German transfer students, exchange students, I should say, not transfer, they didn't stay, the exchange student program that we hosted. As Ms. Kotis is making her way up, Ms. Kibler, did you want to say anything, or Ms. Keeler?
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure tonight to introduce Anna Kotis and some of her students who participated in the German exchange program. Anna had a vision, and she stuck with it throughout the entire year to really bring this program to fruition. And I have to say, from the coverage that we received in the Home News Tribune, the Suburban, and the Newark Star Ledger, this was a very, very impressive program that provided a most valuable experience to our school district, to our administration, our students, our staff, and our host parents. And without further ado, I'd like to present Anna and her students to talk to you about the program. Anna?
Hi, good evening. I'd like to thank Ms. Kibler because I firmly believe that a lot of the reason why this happened is because she supported it from the start, and I needed that support, so I'm very thankful to her. Because of the Old Bridge German Exchange program, which was passed by this board on April of 2013, we now have a sister school in Duisburg, Germany, and that school is Steinbart Gymnasium. 20 Old Bridge High School students were paired up with 20 Steinbart students, and my process in making the matches was this. All 40 students wrote biographies about themselves. And I used my additional familiarity of my students to make the matches. They began communicating with their partners in late July via Facebook and Skype. Our German friends, 20 German high school students and 2 teacher chaperones, arrived on Sunday, October 27th. All of our hosting families were there to greet them with individual signs that the students made, a group welcome sign, and a lot of nervous excitement. It was a really great moment because that is what we've been waiting for, especially me, for so very long. That Tuesday, we held a potluck dinner in the Old Bridge High School Cafe. All of our parents cooked food of various ethnicities, and we had a wonderful buffet-style meal. And we took the opportunity to get to know each other as a group. The following day, the German students they took the day off of school. They had already been here 2 days. They took the opportunity to go to Freehold Mall, thanks to our hosting parents who set up carpools to get them to and from the mall. And we, of course, quickly learned that, like most teenagers, they were basically here to shop. And they were very surprised at what they kept telling us were very, very inexpensive prices. So I guess we're supposed to be excited that everything's very cheap here, is what they kept telling us. So my students were very surprised by that. They attended school 4 days that first week, and they were very eager and comfortable enough to get up in front of my classes that Friday and hold a Q&A session. So basically, my students were allowed to ask them anything they wanted during that time. They demonstrated their amazing command of our language and their love of our culture. So it was very exciting for my students to hear that. One of the group activities that we did that week was bowling, and prior to this activity, one of our hosting parents had given out T-shirts that he funded the expense of, and he and I designed together. It's hard to see, but the T-shirts on the front is our night logo, and on the back it says October 2013, when Steinbart met OBHS, and they wore them with great pride the entire time they were here. Halloween was a huge high point for them because they do not celebrate it in Germany. And even as high school students, they got very into dressing up. They dressed up for school, and they went trick-or-treating, and we had a Halloween party that first weekend. So it was just fun to see teenagers that age get as excited about it as probably younger children would. Sports was a huge focus of the trip. They were so enthusiastic because they do not have sports in the high school program in Germany. It's completely a community-based program. There is no mascot in school. There is, as they said it, these are their words, there is no school pride that we have. There are no teams to go support. So they were able to attend the volleyball game, and we had made it to the quarterfinals, I think then even the semifinals after that. They did attend the away football game. Unfortunately, it was away while they were here. And the cheerleaders, the night of our potluck dinner, the cheerleaders were practicing in the cafeteria, and they were all peeking through the divider. So the coach invited them over, and they've never seen anything like that in a school, so they were very excited. We got a lot of press because of this, which is very exciting. We were written up in 5 newspapers. These are the headlines, along with some pictures that were printed. Although upon further inspection, it was the same 3 articles I kept finding in 5 newspapers, which is fine. I don't know how that works, but I guess that's allowed. And we were also interviewed, thank you to Mr. Gajewski and Ms. Walsh, by the TV production class. The German students were interviewed, as well as the 2 teachers and myself. And that interview is up on the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. And I have sent the links to Germany because they have been very excited to see the end product. Of course, we went to New York City numerous times, 3 trips total as a group. We did the standard Empire State Building, Wall Street, the 9/11 Memorial, to which I had never been before, so that was very moving, and it was nice to have a reason to go. Another reason. We went to Times Square. Some kids did a helicopter ride, which was incredible, and they were very excited about the proximity to which we lived with New York. On our day off, Election Day, we used that opportunity to go to Philadelphia. We used a school bus, which was very nice. I know Ms. Kibler helped set that up for us. And we took them to historical Philadelphia and had a wonderful day. They were very excited to get to know a little bit of American history. Definitely the highlight of the trip was Wednesday, November 6th, when Old Bridge Ice Rink opened up just for us, and this was all set up by Ms. Kibler, and we went ice skating with Mayor Henry. The kids were ecstatic. It was a really fun, awesome event, and to have the mayor show up, and it was at this point, they had been here a week and a half, and we had all gotten to know each other very well, and it was just, I mean, I can't even put it into words. We had the next one, there's a group photo, and it was wonderful just to see the kids having such a great time together. It was very enjoyable. Family time was also spent. We didn't do everything as a group. The families were encouraged to do things with the students on downtime, on days that we didn't have anything planned. A family went to Washington, D.C. Another family took their student into New York for a play. And, of course, they all went to the beach, which was great. And there's one picture of a girl who wrote in the sand when Steinbart met OBHS. Next. Here are some quotes. I don't expect you to read them. I asked my students what, to you, was the most important part of this program. What stands out to you, whether it be concrete or abstract, whether it was an event or a feeling. And I would most want to point out, there's a quote from a mother. I received a text on our last day when we were meeting for brunch, and she wrote, "My whole family is seeing off my German son tomorrow. Is it okay if we all attend the brunch?" It's still hard for me to read that without getting emotional. She did not put it in italics like I did, but that said everything to me, that this woman, after hosting this boy for 2 weeks, called him her German son. And another boy quoted that he said the greatest thing was, we got a new family member. And that was definitely the general feeling among the group. The last day, we had a farewell brunch. At that brunch, the German students presented me with this poster, and it says, Steinbart says thank you, and of course they all signed it. I wanted to point out this bowling picture, magnificent. If you notice, they have on the T-shirts that I mentioned, and I mean, they just all have their arms around each other, and it's taken from the back, and it just was very moving for me. I thought that was beautiful. Then we headed to the airport, where we said goodbye. The picture at the top, where the girls are all embracing. There was a lot of tears. It was very sad. But, you know, it was a culmination of this wonderful, exciting 2 weeks, and they really bonded. Some matches were, I mean, they're like sisters and brothers and best friends for life, which was really amazing. And next, please. And the next phase is we head to their school, to Steinbart Gymnasium, in April of 2014. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That was a wonderful chronology of the visit by the German students, and we certainly look forward to a reciprocal visit when we go to Germany in April. Thank you so much.
Ms. Kibble, could we possibly see that poster?
You want to see the poster?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Why don't you take it up and show it?
Mr. President, thank you for indulging me in going back in the agenda to make sure that Ms. Cotis was able to share that very valuable information.
Well worth it, Mr. Saladino. It's always a great thing to hear all the wonderful things that we're doing in the school system. And the exchange program shares different cultures with one another, and that's just an awesome experience for our young adults. Moving forward, we're going to go into policy. Can I have a motion, please, to approve policy, second reading?
I'd like to make a motion to move policy.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Andriani will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes, a nice job, Matt, getting that done out of your committee.
Solikowski?
It wasn't only me, it was our legal advice, Mr. Pardon, and Kevin Borselli. The three of us acted on this, but he came up with all the scenarios on this to put it together. Thank you.
I assume that's a yes? Yes. Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Dunn?
Just to clarify, it's a yes, it's just for the second reading, not the
Yes.
first reading?
Yes, resolution.
Okay, thank you, yes.
The motion passes.
Moving forward, athletics. May I have a motion, please?
D'Onofrio will make a motion to move
Thank you,
athletics.
Mr. D'Onofrio. May I have a second?
Callahan will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. Discussion?
Motion to separate, aye.
We'll separate aye. Discussion purposes, Mr. Weber?
Discussion and voting.
Very well. Anyone else? Very good. So it's going to be point 1A through H with separating I. Roll call, Mr. Mara?
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes?
Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Resolution A through H passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. I for discussion purposes.
I was at the meeting when former head coach Fred Cole spoke eloquently toward the athletic qualifications for both candidacies and felt that neither one of them would be a bad coach. However, that was not the recommendation that was made by the administration at that meeting, even though it was voted down. And I still have concerns about the legality of it and the potential action for a lawsuit or minimally a grievance or an action through PERC, so I will be voting no.
Very well, Mr. Weber, thank you. Anyone else on the board like to comment?
I'd like to make a comment, please. I received a phone call and an email regarding this situation. As I stated last time, I do not know either gentleman personally. I've seen Mr. Knowles around through my actions with the high school. My vote last time was as I think they quoted you as saying, Mr. Dunn, it was pretty much because that's what the public asked for. To have a team come out, some of the criticism seems to have been that the teams are all from one geographic area, which I don't know if that really means anything or not. I don't know. I used to coach in my part of town, Cliffwood Beach and Lawrence Harbor Little League. Coached my own son, and I didn't show any favoritism towards him. I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. It just seemed like the high school team was here pretty much, in, I'd say probably 60% of the team. And they voiced their opinion for the new candidate, and I think I got to respect that. If the people that use the product, for lack of a better term, are asking for product A instead of B or B instead of A, I think you should go with what the people that are going to use it are looking for. Again, I don't know either gentleman personally, so there's nothing personal. I would hope either gentleman would go in with the best integrity in mind and not show any favoritism or anything like that, if that's even a question, and just go in and do the best job for Old Bridge High School to produce another winning team. I'm just kind of making a statement because I did receive a phone call and an email, I guess criticizing our decision. So.
Thank you, Mr. Prima. Anyone else like to comment?
Mr. Dunn, yes.
Mr. Borsili?
So I was not present at the meeting last month where the original candidate was voted on, but I did watch the meeting, and I watched a lot of the input. And the one input that I thought was probably gave me the most value, they were all good opinions, but the one gentleman went up there and said, neither one of the two candidates is a bad candidate. They're both very highly qualified candidates. And this gentleman said that either coach is going to make a fine coach. So with that in mind, and I tend to agree with that, and I think speaking with other members of the board, I think we all relatively agree with that statement, that either candidate is going to make a good qualified coach. With that in mind, I think we have a duty to go with the one candidate that is most qualified, and the candidate that follows the protocol that we should be following, the one that is an in-district employee, the first person that was recommended by the superintendent. If that person was unqualified, I can understand us voting that person down, but that's certainly not the case. He's certainly a qualified candidate. So with that, I would have to go with the first original candidate. So due to that, I will be voting no.
Anyone else like to comment on the board?
Yes, I have a couple of comments. After last meeting, my vote I cast because, for the simple reason, it was the crowd that came in and they swayed us. They were very effective. But, on the way home, and when I got home, I really thought about it. I worked with Mr. Knowles for quite a few years. The first time I met him, I was a teacher at Madison. I came over to Cedar Ridge, I guess, back around 82 or 83. And he was teaching photo, and I was helping him get through the programs. Then after a while, we did some team teaching at Cedar Ridge, and it's very difficult to vote on this one. I worked with the individual for about 10 or 15 years, and I will cast my vote when it comes time, but I just want to let you folks know that I worked with the individual. He's a good person. He means well, and I think both of them, just like Kevin said, they'll do both very well. Thank you.
Anyone else on the board like to comment?
Can I make a comment?
Mrs. Callahan?
Thank you. Just so everybody knows, this was before I was appointed, and I sat in the back of the room and I watched the other side of the meeting where the parents were sitting there, so in support. I've learned over the years, being involved in the high school with the PTSA, how important and how wonderful things can be when it's a cohesive, productive environment for our students. And to me, the most important thing is that our kids excel, our kids are exposed to what it produces for us, and that Old Bridge does the best that it can do. That being said, I don't know either candidate personally. I have seen Mr. Knowles over the school over the course of the years when I was the president, when I would go down to the GNC. I'm sure either one will do wonderful. Just take into account that everybody is an individual. The goal is to be as productive as we can for our students, our athletes. And just look how Germany, they don't even have athletics there. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing that we can have. And to me, it's very important that everybody get to put their opinion out, and parental input is very important as well. So thank you.
Mrs. Andriani?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of good comments that have been made, not only tonight, but at the last meeting. Mr. Knowles came up and tried to tell us a little bit about himself, and the one gentleman that was here at the other meeting said both candidates would be qualified candidates, as Mr. Borselli said. But Mr. Knowles also said that he wouldn't want the job just because of legalities. Now, with that being said, I'm sitting up here as a board member having to make a vote, and I had team members, students, parents, all coming out to support the assistant coach at that time. You have to stop and think now that all of these people came out to speak, and if we do not now vote for the candidate that's on here now, which would appear to be what the students and the parents were looking for, what does that tell them? That they came out to speak and we did not consider their opinions and their feelings, and they're the ones that have to work within that system. Granted, they're students, but we're trying to build team, we're trying to build team spirit. We have a group that came out, and they came out as a team. And now, are we going to turn around and say, as a team, what you said doesn't matter? So from where I sit tonight, I have to support the students and the parents with their opinion. So I will be voting yes for this candidate.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. I've had the pleasure of coaching high school football for 7 years, and I understand the importance of garnering the relationship and the commitment from the players as a coach. If players don't want you as a coach, they're not going to play to the fullest potential. We as a Board of Education owe that to our players. If they advocate one position, that's the coach who they're looking for, and they're at the same playing field with their abilities and credentials, we need to go with the person who the team wants. we need to recognize their desire. We need to recognize what they want as a team. With that said, both candidates are fine candidates. Mr. Cole made it very clear. Mr. Cole has been in the district for many, many years, and he made it very clear that both candidates he knew very well, and both would be very successful. But when the students came out, the players themselves came out with the parents and advocated for a coach, I'm going to give the players what they want, because they're the ones that are going to have to play and succeed on the field. So at this point, I would be voting yes as well, and we're going to go to roll call. Mr. Mara, on item I.
DePrima?
Based on my previous statement and what Mrs. Andriani said, I will vote yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes.
Sulikowski?
I have to abstain. I can't vote against my partner. Thank you.
Weber?
No.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
No.
Callahan?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Item I passes 5 to 2.
Moving forward, curriculum, items 1 through 9. May I have a motion, please?
D'Onofrio will make a motion to move curriculum items 1 through 9.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. May I have a second, please?
Andriani.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Discussion or concerns? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio? Yes. Sulikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
All motions pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Moving forward, finance.
One thing, Mr. Dunn. Ms. Kibler had complied with a request that I had made at the curriculum meeting, and all of the requests, all of those folders, they've been copied. So before we leave tonight, before any of the board members disperse, I wanted to make sure that Ms. Kibler can get out those folders to all of you so that you have reference material. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Moving forward, finance, items 1 through 15. May I have a motion, please?
Callahan will make the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. May I have a second?
Andriani.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Any discussion?
Mr. Dunn, may I just interrupt for a second?
Absolutely, Mr.
I
Mara.
would just like to make a suggestion. There are 5 board members that will be getting reimbursed on the bill list. With your permission, all of you, I would indicate that you've abstained from the vote on your particular purchase order, if you agree, and so that we don't have to do separations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Your suggestion is fine, as long as council's okay with that?
Yes, it's legally fine and certainly recommended.
Mr. Dunn, Mr. Mara, just give me clarification as to how we're supposed to vote. Just abstain for our own name?
No, just vote yes. I will. The minutes will reflect that you've all abstained on your purchase order reimbursement.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Roll call, please.
D'Onofrio?
Yes.
Sulikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
All motions pass.
Non-certificated personnel office, items 1 through 4. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. May I have a second?
D'Onofrio, second.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. Discussion? Concerns? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Sulikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio? Yes. Dunn?
Yes.
All motions pass.
Non-certificated personnel, operational, items 1 and 2. May I have a motion, please?
Andriani.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Second? Anyone?
D'Onofrio, second.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Borsili,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio,
Yes, I'd just like to wish Joseph a happy retirement and thank him for 25 years of service.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Moving forward, non-certificated personnel, other, items 1 through 17. May I have a motion?
Number 17, as revised, Mr. Dunn.
As revised. May I have a motion, please?
Andriani will move.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. May I have a second?
Callahan will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Andriani,
Yes.
Borsili,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio, Solikowski,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
All motions passed.
Very well, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Moving forward, certificated personnel, items 1 through 25. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move it, and I would just ask that could the administration or the board president read item 1?
Sure. Read item 1. Retirements. You want to separate item 4, Mrs. Callahan?
Just for discussion.
Very well. Number 1, move the board approve the retirement of the following staff members with deep appreciation for the years of dedicated service to the district. Marsha Bodolf, 39.5 years of service. Beth Shepard, 33.5 years of service. Edwardina Maldonado, 28.5 years of service. And Joyce Kenny, 38 years of service. Unbelievable that we've had so many people exceed 35 years of service in this district, and I want to sincerely thank them for the years of dedicated service, and they are truly trailblazers who've been in this district for many years. Mr. Marrow, we're going to do roll call on items 1, 2, 3, 5 through 25. We're excluding number 4.
Did we get a second on the motions? I got Mr. Weber.
It was not for voting, it was
I
just for
moved it.
discussion.
It was, and Carol Lee's was only for a discussion.
Discussion, but we have to separate.
It wasn't a separation.
Do we have a second? No.
D'Onofrio, second.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just discuss number 4 now before we go with
Okay.
voting.
I just want to say to everybody that over my years of Old Bridge High School, and I've had many kids, I've had 4 kids that have gone through the school system, it is with great pleasure that I see that Mr. Masaryk is moved up from a teacher to a vice principal. Mr. Sasso, as you build your phenomenal team, he is just an amazing addition. My kids have had him as a teacher, and one of the greatest compliments you can give a teacher is when you go into the class, you just pick your head up and the period is over. All my children who have had him have enjoyed him tremendously. He is a wonderful person. He's a great asset, and I'm so honored to be here, to be able to vote for you and in support of you, and I really didn't want to let it go just as a vote through without recognizing how outstanding you are and what a wonderful asset you're going to be. Mr. Sasso is just amazing and has really brought forth the high school to such a new, amazing level, and there's so much to be proud of. And people don't really recognize how great and how wonderful an education your child gets here. And it would be an honor and a pleasure to vote for you. I wish you well, and I know you're going to do many, many great things. So thank you for the discussion.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd just like to
Mr.
say that
D'Onofrio?
when you can replace a John Daly with Richard, it just shows you the talent that we have right here in our own homes, in our home. I mean, these individuals are amazing. I mean, they just step right in, like we don't miss a beat. It just comes to how well prepared Mr. Sasso has these people. Mr. Cedardino, your administrative staff, I mean, the way we replaced Dr. Hoker, Mr. Daly, it just keeps on growing. We're doing such a phenomenal job here, and the talent that here at Old Bridge is truly amazing. And in fact, I really believe we're the envy of Middlesex County. And you guys out there do a tremendous job. Mr. Sasso, you picked a great sidekick. Thank you. Good luck.
Anyone else on the board would like to comment? Very well.
Congratulations, Mr. Sasso, on your new baby, by the way. Another member to your staff.
Any other discussion? Mr. Mayor, roll call, please.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes, and congratulations.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
All motions pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me, Mr. Dunn, I just have one question. On page 15, number 12, I know that we voted on it, so I'm not debating that point. The way this is laid out is very difficult to read. In number 12, A through G, you have additional class period per week, and you have numbers like 26, 28, 28. There's no way that somebody could take, have that as an additional class period. So is there a way that we could make that a little clearer in terms of what we're reading?
The important thing is, that's what they're getting to.
I mean, I'm talking about the prorated amount or the salary guide or anything. It's just the way it reads. Could we put a different title on there or something?
The base number is 24. So, for example, the first guy would be 2 extra periods over 24.
Right, but this says additional class/periods per week, so it looks as if there's 26 over. So we could put 2, or we could put 26/2, just something to make that a little clear for everyone, so that people don't have to keep asking questions.
Absolutely, Mr. Cedino will make those provisions.
I just want to make sure, are you going to talk about going forward in the future or amending this
No,
one
no, I
prior
don't
to
want to
the-
amend this.
Oh, yeah,
I'm just
okay.
saying from now on,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
You got it. No problem.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani, for your perception. Non-certificated personnel transportation, items 1 through 2. May I have a motion, please?
D'Onofrio, make a motion, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. May I have a second?
Callahan will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio?
Yes.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motions pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Supplies, equipment, and services, items 1 through 3. May I have a motion, please?
D'Onofrio, make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio.
Andriani will second.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio? Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motions pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Transportation, items 1 through 6. May I have a motion, please?
D'Onofrio, make a motion to move items 1 through 6, transportation, Mr. President.
Andriani will second.
Thank
1
you.
to 6.
You preempting me is very good. Discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
D'Onofrio? Yes. Solikowski?
Yes.
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Borsili?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motions pass.
Miscellaneous, items 1 through 8. May I have a motion?
Callahan will make the motion.
May I have a second, please?
DePrima was second.
Thank you, Mr. DePrima. Any discussion or concerns with miscellaneous? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio, Dunn.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Board Secretary and Board Business. Item 1 and 2, including the addendum.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. May I have a second? I need a second. Thank you. Discussion.
I have a question on the addendum. We're saying no to this, if I'm reading it correct, right?
The situation is this, that this charter school is in East Brunswick, and presently, I believe we budgeted $10,000 for tuition to this school, and we're now up to $40,000, so 4 of our district students are going to that school. The school has applied to the state for an expansion of its charter from a K through 5 to a K through 8, and in that application, they indicated that they have commitments of up to 23 of our students to go there at an average cost of $10,000 a student that we have to pay them, and we get no funding for those students. So it comes directly out of the budget. And this would be for next year. So almost all of the districts in Middlesex County are preparing a resolution similar to this, objecting to the expansion of the charter school. And we're sending this to Commissioner Cerf and also to our elected representatives.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is a non-binding resolution, just a recommendation.
Any other questions? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Weber,
Pass.
Andriani,
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Sulikowski.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to open the floor to hearing of the residents on any school district issue. Going once, going twice. I'm going to close this portion of the meeting. Okay, I didn't see you, Ms. Hopman. She gets exactly 5 minutes, no more.
Exactly 3 minutes, got it.
Exactly 3 minutes. Sorry, you just lost 2 minutes.
You know, 5 minutes is a little hard for me, you know that. First of all, I wanted to just bring up the fact that this German club that was put together and the kids that came in from Germany, I had the opportunity of meeting one of them, one of the young females that came, because my cousin, Natalie Falk, she was involved with this German program. And I have to tell you, at the end, when they were getting ready to leave to go back, she didn't want to go back. Okay, she absolutely loved it here. And I know that the kids are looking forward to going to Germany in the spring, okay, so that they could learn the cultures that Germany does opposed to what the United States does. But I know that, you know, from what I was told and speaking to her and a couple of them, they absolutely loved it. Our kids loved it. I think the program was wonderful. And I look forward to having our kids go over in the spring to Germany and learn the differences in the cultures. I think it was a great program. Also, I had the opportunity of listening to our choir and drama club. They came over to the place I work, Roosevelt Care Center, and they entertained the seniors last week. And they were absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank Steve Updegraff and Jennifer O'Reilly for helping to put this together, along with Mrs. Citadino. It was a wonderful program. They sang for the seniors, and then they did a little bit of a theater skit on what they're going to be doing next month. I think it was called Fools, and they were absolutely great. And then they had lunch, and every day I'm being asked when they are coming back. They absolutely loved it. They were great. It was a wonderful program, and I really look forward to seeing them again, hopefully in the spring. And third, I would just like to thank everyone that came out and voted in this last election. I definitely look forward to going back up on the board and working with the board, along with the administration, and working with the community as a whole for the benefit of the education of every child in this school district. I'm very glad that I will have the opportunity to do that again, and I just want to thank everyone again for their support, and I especially want to and can't wait to get involved with the PTAs and hope that these parents will come to the meetings and will inform the community on all of the positive things that our kids are doing, because there are so many positive things that the public needs to know. And so I really look forward to going to some of these PTA meetings and getting these parents involved, because it is all about the children in Old Bridge. And I'm excited to be able to work with the board along with the municipality, because it does take a whole community to educate our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hotman. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. I'm going to close this portion of the meeting.
Mr. Dunn, I have a public service announcement.
Absolutely, Mrs. Andriani.
I was asked by the Alumni Pathway, Nora Schmidt was here at the agenda meeting, and my understanding is that she had gone to a council meeting as well, explaining the current fundraiser that is happening in Old Bridge with the roosting flamingos. And for a small donation, a small fee, you can flock someone. Of course, we had a nice laugh about that at the agenda meeting, and I wanted to be the first customer. So apparently my house has been on Facebook because I've been grand flocked. The entire herd roosted on my lawn. They are now in transition, and they are flying east, south, north, and west to various lawns around the town. The ladies and gentlemen from the Alumni Pathway that usually come are not here tonight because they are busy doing logistics and transportation of the flamingos at this point. So it is a fundraiser for the cheerleaders. It is a riot. If anybody's interested, please contact the Alumni Pathway Association, and it's a very small nominal fee, and everybody gets a good laugh. So that's my announcement. Thank you.
Mr. Dunn, I'd like
Thank
to
you.
have an
Mrs.
opportunity,
Andriani.
to just make people aware of the tremendous effort that was put forth by Middlesex County, all of the Old Bridge Fire Departments, Monmouth County Fire Departments, in protecting lives and property in parts of this township, including Central Park, where I live, and other parts as well. We had a fire that could have been catastrophic in a high wind situation, and there was, I think, over 9 hours or 10 hours of service put in by all of the groups involved. Thank the school district for putting some buses at our disposal in case evacuations were necessary, and all of the emergency services groups throughout the town and the county did a magnificent job.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. It means a lot that the first responders of this great town are recognized, and many of them spent almost 20 hours dealing with the brush fire in the Central Park area, which made its way to Cheesequake Park. But the whole town came together, and it's very heartening to see the community, specifically the board member as well, who recognize the contributions. Thank you. Anyone else? We're going to go with good. I'm sorry, Mr. Cittadino.
I just have some public service announcements also, just prior to going to the good of the order. Just very quickly, as a reminder to all parents and students that tomorrow is an early dismissal as we prepare for the Thanksgiving break. So be reminded to check out the early dismissal schedule on our district website, oldbridgeadmin.org. It's underneath the district tab at the bottom. It says school hours. So please make sure that accommodations are made for your child for early dismissal tomorrow. As part of the interest in this administration becoming and providing as much transparency and good news about our school district, like having the board meetings and agenda sessions available on our district website. Also on our district website, and we had some hard copies available tonight too, is Old Bridge Online. We're having this publication done as office, I think it's done monthly, and it's a great opportunity for you to see what's going on in our schools, the good news about our schools, and has some fantastic pictures of the students and teachers and the work that they do within our schools. So please take the time to take a look at this, because that information is very important, that you see really where your tax dollars are being spent. A reminder that this Thanksgiving, the schools may be off, but the football team is definitely on. 10 o'clock in East Brunswick. It's not just a tradition game. This is a big game for Old Bridge. With a win, they would secure the Red Division Championship. I don't know if that's been done for how many years, if it's ever been done since the division has been set. So it is a big game. They have the tiebreaker against Sayreville, even though we'd go in with the same winning percentage if we beat East Brunswick on Thursday. So please make sure that you can come out and support our team, as they've put a tremendous amount of effort in, and our coaches as well. And the last thing I just want to do is I'd like to thank Diane Duffy from Central Administration for compiling the information for my very long and insightful HIB and Violence and Vandalism report that started the evening. Thank you very, very much. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Mr. Sedadino. Good to order. I know Mr. Borsili has a few words.
Okay, I'll start. I had a long list, so the good news to everyone is in my rush to get out of the house, because I was so late, I left my notes at home, so hopefully I won't be as long as I had anticipated to be, but I did jot down a couple of things as they came to my head. I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about the football team. I wish them the best of luck on Thursday. I know that they're going to win, but regardless of the outcome, they've had such a successful season. I've really enjoyed them this season, and I thank them for giving us such a great season and so much enjoyment this year. The school spirit has been phenomenal, and I believe that plays a huge role in their success this year. The amount of school spirit that I've seen out there has just been incredible. The student body has just extremely been into the entire season and all of the sports. The Knights of the Silver Bleachers has been phenomenal. I can't walk anywhere in this township without seeing a Knights of the Silver Bleachers hoodie somewhere. It's phenomenal to see. It's terrific. I give a lot of that credit, of that school spirit, to the administration, starting with Mr. Cittadino and his staff, and Mr. Sasso and all of the administration throughout the high school has done just a terrific job. The coaching staff has been absolutely phenomenal. I think that they've done a wonderful job getting the community involved, from the youth football leagues and cheer teams and so on, getting the middle schoolers involved. I've seen so many middle school students at the games. It's been phenomenal. I hope that we can continue the school spirit throughout the year. I'd like to also see the school spirit really kind of just go not only with the sports, but even throughout the school completely with our performing arts. There's just so many holiday shows coming up. I encourage everyone to get out there and see them. I try to see as many as I can. Our bands, our middle school bands, our high school bands, our choirs, they're all just phenomenal. So there is, if you look at the calendar, within the second or third week of December, I think there's a show every single night somewhere, so try to get out there and see them. And other than that, I just wanted to wish everybody a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and to all of those celebrating Hanukkah, I hope you have a very joyous holiday and have a happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Mr. Borsili. Anyone else? Good of the order? Mr. D'Onofrio?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I'd just like to thank all the retirees for their years of service here at Old Bridge. Wish them success and luck in retirement. Again, I'd like to congratulate all the new hirees. I'd like to wish you luck and success, and I'm sure you will all be successful with this administration staff that we have. It's almost impossible to fail. I'd just like to thank the cheerleader moms for sending us the email that they won regional championships, and they have a bid to go to nationals in Florida, I believe. And so congratulations to our cheerleaders. Let's not forget them, man. And I wish all of you a very safe and happy and healthy Thanksgiving and a joyous Hanukkah. And again, Mr. Sasso, congratulations on your new daughter. I'm sure it'll be a great holiday season with you and your family, and with the babies and stuff, always good stuff. Ms. Hartman, Ms. Mongan, congratulations on your election to the Board of Education. You two of you will do a phenomenal job, I'm sure. And that's it for me. Good night, everyone. Be safe, children.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. Anyone else?
Yeah, for the good of the order, have a happy Thanksgiving. And for the good of the audience, have a happy Thanksgiving and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Real quick, Mr. Dunn, just I'd like to thank Ms. Cotis for that presentation. It seemed to have been like such a wonderful program, and I'm glad it worked out well. Congratulations to you and the students. Congratulations, Mr. Masaryk, on your new appointment. And to reiterate what everybody else said, Happy Thanksgiving and Happy Hanukkah to everyone. Thank you.
Just a couple of words.
Mrs.
Then you
Callahan?
can fill it in.
Sorry. Mr. Solokowski? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I visited Sandburg School this past week. My grandson's going there, and I really enjoyed it. I went back in time a little bit. All these teachers were phenomenal. What they do right now is they turn education into a fun game type of situation where the kids are learning, but they're having a good time while they're doing it. We got away from the basics, the old ruler routine where you got hit on the hand if you weren't paying attention, something that happened 20, 30 years ago. I commend all my teachers. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. And good luck to all the retirees and all our new hirees. I'm sure they'll do well. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Solokowski and Mrs. Callahan.
I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday, reiterate congratulations again, Mr. Masaryk, congratulate the retirees, and to let everybody know, please come out, support your PTSAs, meet your principals, learn what's going on, come to the Board of Ed. I would love to meet you. We would all love to meet you. And again, I'm humbled and honored to be working with this board. They are an amazing group of people, and it's deeply appreciated. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Callahan. I'm going to go to Mrs. Andriani next.
Yes, good evening, everyone, again, and congratulations to our candidate-elects. We will be seeing you early January up on the tables with us, so congratulations. I'd like to congratulate our new vice principal. I think it's absolutely wonderful that we have such a depth of talent in Old Bridge that we can always find an outstanding candidate to replace someone that's moved on and up. Thanksgiving is coming. It's a time of giving thanks, and I give thanks each and every day that we live in a township where we work well together and we have community spirit and we have fun while we're doing things. And I think the next fundraiser should be Old Bridge cheesy Christmas sweaters, but that's another story. But happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and have safe and happy travel plans.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriani. Real quick, I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy and joyous Thanksgiving holiday. Also, happy Hanukkah. This is a season that we have to reflect and thank family and thank all our loved ones for helping us be where we're at today. With that said, I need a motion to go into an executive session.
Yes, for matters of personnel and attorney-client privilege.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Porcelli. Can I have a second, please?
I don't know if you'll make a second.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Donovan, can I just take a moment to, I know here in Old Bridge we have several veterans and students who are serving over at the Middle East. I'd just like to wish their families, if they're watching, a safe return and hopefully your children are home for the holidays. And Godspeed getting them back here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio, for honoring our veterans and our ones who are fighting our battles. Can I have a second, please? We have a second? Okay. I need a roll call, please.
Andriani? Yes. Porcelli?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
D'Onofrio? Yes. Solokowski?
Yes.
Weber? Dunn?
Yes.
Motion passes to go into executive session.
We will not be back out. We will be back just to adjourn. Thank you.
Hey,
So what I'm saying.
I think I met him before, but
Hey.
good to see you again.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations.
We've met before?